These are some old clippings that we're trying to preserve from the All-American Redhead days.
When I come across these articles about my aunt,
this isn't exactly professional archivism, but
it had in there that she was a professional basketball player.
These are all advertisements for them playing basketball across America.
Well, it just hit me. I said, well, she has to be one of the first professional women to play basketball in the state of South Dakota. I started reading the articles and I knew a lot about it. And one of the things I was told about her, it was in Parkston, South Dakota, a teams that they would travel around as women professional basketball players.
These women were doing exactly what the men's teams were doing, taking it across the country so that people could see what basketball was about, how it was played.
In 1941, there was an organization that came out of Arkansas called the All-American Redheads. These women were playing an exhibition game in Parkston, South Dakota. Parkston did not have a girls' team, and the coach there that was not only the benefactor or finance this team, noticed this girl playing in there, and her name happened to be Allegra.
Allegra Winter.
And they called her Stubby because she was only 5'2".
She was just out there shooting around with the men. And this coach saw her playing. And he went over and asked her to say, would you mind, maybe trying out for our team?
She was very impressive. He said, we'd like to pick you up.
She said, well, yeah, but I gotta go ask my parents first. So she goes and asks them, says, yeah, she said, I can do that.
So at 5'2", no previous team play or any kind of coaching, she was selected to go with this team.
And after that, history was made. She went on and got to go all over the world, playing in different games.
That's really kind of how they got players to come play, is they would be playing at a town, and either a coach or somebody at the school or somebody would come up and say, hey, we have a girl here that we think might be, a good fit for your team. I'm Tammy Moore Harrison, and I'm the daughter of Orwell and Laureen Moore, who played for the All-American Redheads starting in 1948. They bought the team in 1955, and they continued to be the owners until they passed away, and then the ownership was passed on to me. The Redheads were originated in 1936. They lasted for 50 years. Their goal was to promote women's basketball and women's athletics across the country, because at that time, many people did not believe that women's bodies could physically handle any kind of strenuous activity. Now, most of the women at that time, if they did play basketball, they played 3-on-3 where you go half court, or sometimes they even had up to 11 people on a court. So these women from day one played full court men's rule basketball, 5-on-5.
This was not a bogus deal. I mean, sure, they had some tricks and did some things. And Stubby had a famous trick where she went between the legs, or she piggybacked and threw. She was 5'2", and the other girl, the center, was 6'4". So they had little acts, but it was serious basketball. And what's really important is they only played against men's with men's rules. And they could play and they could win.
They wanted to win, but you realize they're playing every night. So you're not going to play you're not going to get all your shots in every night. So they were happy if they put on a good show, and they wanted to win. Of course, they were really happy when they won. Even up through the 80s, and you would think that unbelievable, that it gave them self-confidence. That it gave them the ability to want to get out and do better for themselves. Many of them said they wouldn't have went to college or even left their town and knew that they could get out and exist on their own if they hadn't have gone with the Redheads. So it was a big thing all through the years for them to be that it gave them much more skills than just basketball skills. It gave them life skills. As it was said, they got an education not through a book, but through actual doing and actual seeing.
I think Stubby Winter's name should be right up there with the top players of all times in South Dakota. And it's just a forgotten story that really needs to be out there in the public. South Dakota should really be proud of what she's done here or what she was part of.
It helped put women where they are today as far as where sports are concerned in basketball. If they hadn't started in 1936 and then played through 1986, as you know, it takes a while for things to build up, and it took quite a while for girls' sports to build up even after Title IX. So just think if you didn't have those trailblazers pushing that game back from 1936 all the way forward until passing of Title IX and even after Title IX, then I think that's the legacy that they got the ball rolling, and they were definitely part of this push for Title IX and for women to have an opportunity to participate in the sports that they so love to do.
Well, the Redheads would have up to 3 teams on the road at the same time. And in all, they played about 200 games a year, traveled more than 60,000 miles a year by car. The team was inducted into the National Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 2010 and into the Naismith Memorial National Basketball Hall of Fame in 2012.
This has been Midco Sports Magazine, presented by Build Your Base with Beef Sports Nutrition and Training Program.